So why am I doing this? I'm starting this podcast because we all have a story and finances play a part in our struggles and successes. If we can learn from the many mistakes many others have made, we can make sure that more of us are successful. Like the quote says, to increase the chances of success, we must increase our failure rate. To be honest, I failed a ton. I will bring people from all walks of life, but mostly service members. If you have a story you would like to share, do not hesitate to reach out. From the go, like and subscribe to this podcast so many others can benefit. All right, how's it going, guys? I wanted to cover today, I want to talk to you guys about a great book, and I want to start you with this quote because it really hits home for me. Personal power is directly tied to personal responsibility, which most people avoid. Now, I'm going to talk about the book Motivation Manifesto by Brendon Burchard. For those of you guys that care, Brendon Burchard, he's the son of a former Vietnam vet. Great guy. He is a powerhouse in the world of personal development. He's done, he coaches. I've made some assumptions that he coached Michael Phelps. He coaches a bunch of CEOs. Great guy, right? But he understands and values the military, service members, right? So his book is about reclaiming our personal power and living with intent. And again, I mentioned this before, that motivation is one of those things that is functionally useless. You can have motivation, you can give motivation, but it's not, many people don't do anything with motivation. What it requires is discipline and building it, like truly having that internal drive, right? And I want to start this series of talking about books because a lot of you guys won't read them. A lot of you guys won't listen to them. And some of these books that I'm reading and listening, I think there's a lot of value in them, especially when we talk about the military. The focus is motivation, right? So in the military, nobody likes motivation. Nobody likes the fakeness of it. Nobody likes the how it's not done correctly, how we almost overdo it. And it really doesn't drive an environment that people want to be motivated. So this book is key because it dives into how we can truly create the enduring motivational state, a state where we can make conscious effort to achieve the success we want in our family, career, all of our life, maybe even your faith, right? Faith is important, okay? So the connection that I have with this book is I decided to improve on it. I wanted to improve my life. I wanted to realize what truly motivates me and how can I have the inspiration, motivation to then create discipline, right? So again, Brendon Burchard, he is the son of a former U.S. Marine. His father was given a very short, when he was about to pass, he was told he only has 7 days to live. He still lived 59 days. So he's a tough dude, right? And the purpose of the core of this book is to empower us, right? To break free, to live free of fear, right? And if you ever decide to read this book, I assure you that you'll find that a lot of the things that we talk about motivation, the military does them wrong. They do them very wrong. And it's driven in a way of declarations, right? How we reclaim that personal freedom, right? So I want to walk you guys through it all a little bit. And I'm going to talk about like how there's declarations, right? So I'm going to highlight the declarations so you're aware of what's coming, right? So the first declaration, he talks about we shall meet life with full presence and power, right? Full presence and power. And this is, when you have that present and powerful life, you're able to show up and enjoy it and value it and give life truly that you're there, right? And we see it a lot of in people. They show up to things and they don't give it the value, right? They miss out a lot of value simply because they didn't want to show up for themselves. They didn't want to prioritize how they were going to carry themselves in that moment. So I really, really encourage people that as we start diving into our self-motivations and what drives us and how we want to focus ourselves in a moment, in an environment, be present, right? Give the value that it's worth, right? And give it power, right? Truly, when you show up and you say something, it's like, I'm going to give this my all, my relationship, my faith, my career, your kids. And I really I like this value because a lot of things are pulling our time, right? So for example, right now I'm being pulled by my business. It takes a lot of my time, but I make sure that when I'm with my girlfriend, with my family, and now I'm focusing on that. But again, I expect them to know that if I'm not if I'm in my business, that this is equally important, right? So I want you guys to, whenever if you do a job, if you're even doing a working party, give it your full presence and power, right? Do it well, care about it, and then you're going to be able to achieve, tie those habits everywhere else. Then reclaim your agenda. This is declaration 2. It's important to take control of your schedules. I'm a big believer in this, and a lot of people that I admire and I respect and I get mentorship from, they're really big believers on how you must control your agenda and, funny enough, your bank account, right? So a lot of us don't control our agenda in the military. The military dictates that our agenda. So you got to become even more controlling of your time outside of the things that you cannot control, which is the military. So if you control, I'm going to spend time with my family, you give it that. You like make sure that it's time allocated, right? And then if you want to spend time with your kids, it's time allocated, right? So maybe it's time with your kids and not with a wife. Maybe it's time with the wife and not with the kids. Maybe time with your husband, whatever it is, right? So we have to be thinking that way, and we have to put it in our agenda. We got to know when to say no, and we should probably say no to more things. There's a real big thing that I've seen of people that are hyper successful, how much they say no. No, I'm not going to do that. Nope, I'm too busy. No, you did not schedule in time. Nope. Because we have to take control of their agenda. That is your time, and that is the most finite resource. What's the point if you have a ton of money if you cannot control your agenda, right? So be mindful of that, because I'm aware that in the military, you lose a lot of that control. So you got to create it and put time and value to own up your agenda, okay? So then defeat our demons, right? So the 3 demons that Brendon talks about is doubt, delay, and division. So doubt, there's a lot of self-doubt. We see that a lot in the military. It's like, should I pursue this career? I don't know. I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can do that, right? So we question our abilities, our worth, our path, and it undermines your confidence, and it convinces you you're not good enough to achieve your goals, right? So think about that. People that want to achieve greatness and you're doubting, how are you going to go achieve that next career, that next MOS, that next unit, if you're doubting yourself? You need to believe in yourself, because there's a lot of people that believe in you, but you're not believing in yourself, right? So acknowledge a small win. So take every single win. It's like, I made this in a goal physically. I achieved this small thing financially. I achieved this thing with my spouse, and then build on it, okay? Delay is the demon of procrastination. A lot of people talk about procrastination and avoidance. I think procrastination comes down to avoidance. So we purposely delay because we're avoiding, right? And then you try to cram it in the last minute, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? So it's not, the idea of the delay is that it has to be perfect or not, when it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just do it. Start doing it and start moving the chains and driving that progress, right? So you cannot be scared of failure and then say, I will do this later. I cannot call this person. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to apply. I see it a lot in my career field in EOD. A lot of guys are like, oh, I'll go to EOD later. I'll go to MARSOC later. And then delay. And then most of the time they end up saying, I should have done it earlier. Well, go figure. It's because you waited. So don't wait. So set yourself a timeline and encourage yourself to take immediate action. Now, I like massive action, right? Even if the step is small, right? So like investing, right? You may want to start saving $100, but maybe all you got is 10. Start. Just go. Don't delay it. And division. Division refers to the internal conflicts and contradiction within ourselves. It's the parts of us that pull us in different directions, where one side wants success while the other fears responsibility. So we cannot be fearful of that. A spirit, a mind, an emotion that is divided creates a lot of problems. And this talks about, in my mind, is what I see it as congruence. So you got to become congruent with your actions, with your spirituality, with your emotions, right? You got to know that if you're going to be angry, how do you like own it? Own the anger, but understand it. Don't let it fraction yourself, right? Don't let it pull you into destruction. Right? So think about that. So division is the problem, is that it prevents us from fully committing to a single course of action. And we see that a lot with people that are choosing to go a certain path, but then they continue to second guess and they end up going a different way. That doesn't do much for many people. Okay. So then declaration 4 is we shall advance with abandon, right? Like you got to be obsessed. You got to be courageous to truly live a fulfilling and extraordinary life. And if you don't like your life, you need to address it. If you're in a relationship with a man that you don't like, go. Or start working on it. Commit to working on it. I'm not going to say just divorce. There's plenty of things, right? There's plenty of a course of action. It's about developing the courage to step into the unknown, even though you may be afraid of failure. The other thing is that you gotta let go of your limiting beliefs. I see people with limiting beliefs all the time. I cannot achieve that wealth. I cannot do that. I cannot be this wealthy. I'm not that good at this. I cannot do that other thing. Well, then you have guys like Brendon Burchard or even skateboarder Rob Dyrdek. He says that he can learn anything. He can master anything. And I believe you guys can too. For crying out loud, you guys are trained to take down adversaries and protect our nation anywhere on the planet on a beckons call. Like, why would you be limiting anything else? You guys are full of excellent people. And if you're listening to this, you're not a service member, I'm willing to bet that I can find things that you're good at, that you can inspire, that you can lead, right? So again, you got to let go of your limiting beliefs. That is also what's keeping you poor. I don't have enough money. There's not enough money to be made. I don't have enough time to make money. Blah, 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 blah. Let it go, right? Abandon and move, right? If it's fear that you're not good enough, you got to let it go. And go with bold action and passion and purpose. If you take bold action, I'm just going to do it, right? A decisive action that aligns with your passions, you're going to be set. You're going to be set, right? So you have that purpose with your passion, and you just leap and start doing it with enthusiasm. Eventually, the last thing that's missing is just resilience. Know that it's not going to be easy, that there's going to be trials and tribulations, that you're going to have to hit yourself in the head over and over and over and over and over until you become successful. I was just listening to something about hyper wealthy people. There was this guy makes $150 million. He's currently worth $150 million. He's been broke twice. He's resilient. He endured that. He overcame it, kept figuring it out and made it happen. And then Declaration 5 is that we shall practice joy and gratitude. There's not enough joy and gratitude in the service members and military's veterans' life. There's not enough joy because we are unfortunately, part of our career is that we're dedicating our life to our nation, and our nation pulls. You may feel it like your leader, the Marine Corps, the Army, but as our nation is pulling. So you got to put joy and gratitude into your everyday. I am grateful that you live in this house. You're grateful to be American. You're grateful that you can eat steak, that you can have that amazing beer. You're grateful that somebody came up with that beer that you absolutely love. You're grateful for your wife, your kids, the sun. I don't care. Find more things to be grateful and then grab it and enjoy it. Put joy, not happiness, joy. Enjoy it. Whenever you're doing something, be thankful and grateful for it. And the more you practice that, and then ask yourself, how can I bring more joy and gratitude into my life? How can I bring more joy and gratitude into my life? And that, guys, is massive. I'll give you guys another quote that I heard. How can I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? So I'm trying to appreciate it, be grateful, okay? And do that. So again, if your military career is tough, be grateful that you have a steady paycheck, you have healthcare, you have clothing, you have good training, you have opportunities, right? And we shall not break integrity. That's Declaration 6. We shall not break integrity, okay? I'll put your integrity into self. I'm really big into integrity to self. A lot of people say, have integrity. Have integrity. To what? A lot of people expect us to have that core value or that property, right? The adherence to strict and moral and ethical code. The state of being unimpaired. The quality and condition of being whole and undivided. So they tell us that we got to have integrity. But what about integrity to yourself? Can you keep your promises to yourself? Are you willing to say, I'm going to go to the gym and stick with it? Are you willing to say, I'm going to read this book and stick with it? Are you willing to say, I'm going to improve on this? Are you willing to say, I'm not going to yell at my husband? Are you willing to say, I'm going to treat my wife better? Are you willing to say that I'm going to love my kids more? And then do it 1,000 days in a row. I challenge you to do something 1,000 days in a row. It's going to be that hard. But I can guarantee you that is what it takes to stick with it. So keep your promises. Really big on that. Declaration 7, we should amplify love. Love more, guys. There's not enough people that love. And I know somebody's listening to this and you were taught, nobody ever told you love you. Nobody ever told you that you should say that you should express that. But you know what, brother? You know what, sister? I love you and the world loves you. And right now, if you are not feeling love, grab your phone, text somebody and say like, bro, do you love me? I can guarantee a bunch of people will say yes. DM me, hey, bro, do you love me? And I'm going to say yes. Why? Because you're special. You're unique. You're kind. You're incredible. Right? So if we amplify that love, right, even when things are bad, you're going to do great. I always talk to people about this, and this ties to limiting beliefs. Nelson Mandela, his prayer, Invictus, that he became famous because of him. And then Viktor Frankl, the Auschwitz survivor. How do they have so much love for the world? How do they have so much love for being in a terrible circumstance? If they can do that, you can do it in your life, right? And then we shall inspire greatness, right? This is the leading by example, right? Embody greatness in ourselves. Go back to integrity. You got to embody it. I do this. When people are like in the military, you see a lot of these leaders that don't have congruency. You got to take care of your stuff. You got to be better in fitness, but they're living a wrecked life, destroying their families. For that matter, I ruined 2 relationships, or I was part of ruining these 2 relationships. Those women that had their own role, right? But I am now trying to be congruent in all my actions. So live with integrity and strive for excellence in all aspects. And then you're leading by example. How you do anything is how you do everything, okay? And empower others. This is about uplifting, right? You're going to, in the same declaration, uplift others and encourage them, praise them, and recognize them. The importance of recognizing this, whether it's your family, friends, college, service members, sister company, all of these, provide that. They deserve the support and guidance. And I'm sure you guys, I'll give you a challenge. If you're listening still to this point, start just encouraging, praising, and recognizing your service members, your junior Marines, whatever, soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardians, and see what the results are. Even the guys that don't do well. And I will say this has been challenging for me in the professional world. Start doing it more. And I can guarantee you're going to see a result that you did not expect. You're going to see that they're going to care more. I'm not saying don't be strict and demanding, but you can encourage, praise them, and recognize them more. Right? Serve with a higher purpose, whatever that may be, your family, God, whatever it may be, serve it to others. Because at some point, guys, to do a massive purpose in life, you need God. You need some spirituality. I don't care what it is. You got to have a sense of belief, even if it's just a belief that you're connected to the world, right? Serve with a higher purpose, right? And create that purpose in your life, okay? And always seek to collaborate over competing. So how can you collaborate with your sister platoon, sister company, and then move forward with that, okay? So that's all about these things, right? And then I want you guys to think about this. You got to mentor. You got to mentor and encourage that greatness out of people. Live with that purpose, right? Declaration 9, we shall slow time. This one hit home for me. Brendon talks about taking that extra beat. Take another beat. When you look at your partner, your wife, your husband, look at them and take another beat. Enjoy it. That's big. When you get an award, take a second and be like, I don't deserve this. Or when you think of all the negatives, that's Sicily, whatever, it's a NAM, it's an Army achievement, take a beat, take a second, slow down. Life is special. Life is great. You guys are Americans. Most of you guys are Americans, right? I'm American, so whatever, that's what my default thought. Go figure out the flag there, right? So I want you guys to think that for me, this book I took a bunch of notes of how I am going to love more, be more grateful, have integrity, encourage, praise, recognize people, create a change in my own life, right? So some action steps is that you got to start thinking, asking yourself a lot of questions. What areas can I reclaim control over? What inner demons are holding me back? How can I bring more gratitude today? How can I love more? Right? And ask these deep questions out of yourself on the daily. How can I be more bold? What would it take for me to be more bold? Why am I delaying? right? So think about these questions, and the questions are the keys, right? So again, Motivation Manifesto was an incredible book, right? It's part of he has a long list of books, right? And I want you guys to really think of questions you can ask. So if you are still listening, I'm glad that you're here. I value you. I'm trying to add this thing. So if you have any input of what we can do, I want you guys to give us this input, right? Like, give me what questions you have and how I can make these podcasts better, right? So you guys, service members and veterans, this is for you guys. Go become better leaders, right? And with that, I'm seeing it already, how there's people that I have been very stern with, very rude, and not as empathetic. I'm working to apply that in my own life. So let me know what you guys think. Add me some information. Help me, guide me, because it's your podcast, right? I'm just here, the talking voice, and I want to share my anecdotes and what I'm listening. So I'm always open to your adjustments. Okay. So guys, thank you for showing up to the Financial Enabler podcast. We're going to be doing this with some other books. I'm pumped. Let's go.
This podcast is not financial advice, and it only represents the opinions of those participating. Our goal is to get you to your version of financial independence. Please follow and like on every platform.